everyone. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a video, kind of like a Q&A, where you guys have asked me some questions, but I'm also going to input my own opinion on my advice for dealing with exams, stress and revision and time management and everything like that. As I know, some people right now have just had mocks, some people are having mocks, some people are probably waiting for results. So I thought I'm going to do this video now because even if it doesn't help you right at this current time, it might help you sometime in the future, and you can come back and watch this when you do need or want some advice. So I thought today that's what I would do, sit down and talk you through all my tips for things such as exams and stress and how to cope with everything and the homework and the revision and all the stuff that we have to deal with as a student. So I'm just going off my own personal experience. I'm obviously not an expert. I could be telling you something that doesn't work for you, but please don't blame me. You know, this is what works for me and this is what I'm hoping will also help you out. So without further ado, I'm going to get into it. Okay, so I took to Instagram and I also took to Twitter and asked you guys for things related that you want to know about for exams, stress, etc. So the first question is, how do you relieve stress? So I think this is a really difficult thing to do, and for me it is to listen to music. If I listen to music or if I watch something, it kind of makes me forget about everything else that I have to do. I think for some people sleep helps to relieve stress, but for me I really like to just have some noise, like to go out and hear noise, but really listening to music helps me, kind of just calms me down because I can just sing along and just forget about everything. And I think this is probably a good thing to do if you're going in before an exam you're really worried about. Obviously I know you've got to switch off your phone and everything, but before you go in, put some headphones in, listen to some calming music, and then obviously, like our school, we have to go into an area to get registered before we go in an exam hall. So obviously before you get in there, take them out. But it will really just help you to calm down, even if it's music that you don't like or if it's music without any words, then something to like distract your mind almost, just helps you relieve stress. Definitely find something, whether it's music or sport or television, anything like that, just find something that you find really relaxes you. The second question is, when should I start revising for my GCSEs? Obviously I'm in year 11 right now. I've just had my mocks, so for me, I had my mocks during December. I get my results back on the 11th. No, I don't, I get them back on the 10th. So for me, I'm going to wait till I've got those back. We're obviously going to go through them in class, so I think probably for me it will be mid/end of January. I'm going to start making my final notes, my mind maps, my flashcards, and then I think in kind of like Easter time, which is obviously a little bit earlier this year, it's about March, April, I would have just had mocks before then anyway, but around that time in Easter, that's when your hardcore revision kicks in. That's when you're doing past papers daily and like cramming everything in. So for me it's going to be probably like mid to end of January. I'm going to properly start going for it, and then in Easter I'm going to be like, bam, it's getting serious now, gotta do everything. So that's my advice. It may be different for you. You may have loads of resources already made and it's just more like a recap thing, but for me, for like science, I binned all my revision from year 9 and 10 because I hated it so much. It did nothing for me. So I've kind of started from scratch in September. So I have a lot to do for science, but for things like geography and history, I have all my revision from year 10. So I'm kind of like fine. It like doesn't matter. I have that there. I'm just going to learn it all over again. The next question I think is something really important. That's, how do you stay motivated to revise? I think you just have to think. I think I've said this before. You have to think about the end goal, and you kind of almost have to reward yourself. So you can say, if I do half an hour revision, I will then give myself a chocolate biscuit or something like that. I think you have to think about rewards, and you have to think about, you know, what do you want to get out of it? If you revise for half an hour, what do you want to get out of that? And if you don't revise, what are you not going to get? So if you don't revise, you're not going to probably get that grade you want. Whereas if you do, you will get that grade and you'll be happy. Whereas if you don't, you're going to be really disappointed and upset, and there's no turning back. So I think you just have to think about what you want, and the only way to get there is to put the work in. You stop procrastinating when revising. So for me, I have to put all distractions away anyway, because then that just stops me distracting. And when I think, oh, I'm about to procrastinate, you know, I get into that kind of habit, I have to just like say to myself, what are you doing? You've got to get on with this, you've got to do it. Like, I think you just have to put all your distractions away. You just have to be strict and stern with yourself, really. I'm not a big procrastinating fan. Like, when I'm revising, I will get on with it. It's the before revising where I procrastinate. I'm like, I can just leave that another day. But I did download this app. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I'll leave the name of it down below. Type in all your exam dates and then like your subject priority. So obviously like maths and English and stuff, they're quite a high priority for me. So I put them up like the higher end of my priorities, and it will plan out all the revision up until your exams. Honestly, it's amazing. It notifies you. It was like you have 5 study periods. So I set my study periods to be half an hour each day. I didn't put in for the weekends because I never know what I'm doing. It's honestly amazing. It's like mapped out this whole study program for me. All I have to do is just decide what I'm going to revise. What are your favourite ways to revise? So for me, I love a good old mind map. I absolutely love making the mind maps and learning from the mind maps. Like a mind map's just something that works for me. Like when I went into my history exam, I could actually like visualise that mind map that I'd made, which was perfect for my 12 marker on the doors plan and young plan and stuff. So yeah, for me, mind maps really work. Recently, I have become a big lover of flashcards. I love Quizlet, and recently I've also been like using the proper hand flashcards because there's so many different things you can do with those. Whereas I love Quizlet on the learn mode because it really like starts to teach me. And then obviously I can test myself. Like Quizlet is great for things like dates and vocab, but sometimes like for other stuff where I'm writing like information, like a proper flashcard's great. So flashcards I've really become a big fan of. And my final favourite way to revise is past papers because, or practice questions. I have loads of the CGP workbooks as they work really well. As there's not much out there on the new spec, but obviously there are some past papers and stuff which you can do, which are really, really helpful, and I just find that's a really good way for me to test what I do and don't know. What is the best method to remember important points? And I definitely think that is a flashcard, because flashcards, they're condensed, concise, they're like tiny little bit of paper, but they work. So what I would do is like you can either bullet point stuff, or you create a question where you have your question and then that important point you want to remember is your answer. So you can kind of do it in an interactive way, or you can have all your points in one place. You just got to keep recapping them, get someone to test you. But I definitely think flashcards are the best way to remember important things. Also, sticky notes are amazing. I love putting sticky notes around my room because that's all the important stuff on there, and then I'm constantly seeing it and testing myself. What's your advice for picking your GCSEs? So when I picked my GCSEs, all I knew that I wanted to take was media, and at that point my school said that everyone had to take a language, so I knew it was either between French and Spanish, so I knew I didn't want to do Spanish, so I knew it was French. But then we had to pick a humanity, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went for geography, and then I had this last choice, and I was like, well, I can either do food tech. I looked at that, really didn't like that. Then my other option was PE, and then I saw how much practical there was, and I was like, I don't have a sport that I can do on my own, like I'm much more of a team player, so ruled that out. And then there was history, and I was like, you know what, we're just gonna go with history. So for me, it came down to that. You have to pick things you enjoy, things you're good at, and also you do need to kind of look at the teachers and like past results, because if you're choosing a subject that although you're really good at it, but if your teacher's not going to teach it to you very well, you may struggle. So ask them, what previous results have you got, how much have people enjoyed the course, speak to other students. I help out on options evenings and all sorts, and it's really interesting for parents and like students to come and speak to me and ask like, what do you think? Like, I'm honest with people. I said, well, I enjoyed this, but I didn't really enjoy this, but that's just me. So definitely go speak to other people and just choose things that you really enjoy. And even if you enjoy something and you know you're not going to get the top grade, but you have such a passion for it, still go for it. The question I think is a really good one, and it says, how do you balance your subject? So obviously I mentioned that app earlier, which I do use, but before I was using that, I actually used to do an equal amount of time for every subject during the week, because I felt if I put so much effort into one subject and neglected another, then it wasn't going to reflect very well. And I think you really do need to put an equal amount. Like obviously maths, English and science, you probably do have to put more effort in because they're the ones that you have to have, obviously maths and English. And obviously science is quite high up there, and then you've got all the other ones and stuff. So I do think sometimes people say I'm just going to do loads of maths, but then you neglect everything else. So for me, you have to split it equally. You've got to do equal amount of time of each thing, and then on a weekend or at lunchtime or whenever you've got free time, then you put in that extra hours of that subject that's probably your weakest. Right, I hope that's really helped you guys out. If you have any more questions, comment them down below. I reply to every single comment. Even if you come and watch a video and you you have a question on any of my videos, you can just comment and I always reply regardless. Like, I've had comments on beauty videos related to school. I honestly don't mind, so always feel free to comment or tweet me. I don't really check my Instagram DMs, not gonna lie, so don't bother sending me things on there because it just gets too packed. But yeah, I hope this video has helped you out in some way. Just because, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, leave it a massive thumbs up. And if you're new around here, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. I will see you all next Sunday with my what I got for my birthday. And yeah, I hope this helped you out. Bye!